Hi everyone, welcome to K21Academy. In this video, we are going to perform a hands-on lab on how we can install and configure the Git and GitHub. So basically, Git is a version control system that can help us or the help developers so that they can keep track of changes in their code. And it's super helpful when working on projects alone or with a team. And then we have a GitHub. On the other hand, it is a platform where you can store your Git repositories online. You can also collaborate with others and you can manage your projects. By using Git and also GitHub together, you can easily track changes, share your code with others, and even work on different versions of the project at the same time without stepping on other toes. It's basically the backbone of modern day software development. And now, let me explain you the scenario so that we can understand how we are using the Git and GitHub in the real world environment. So, in a busy software company, let's say there is a software development company, and here there are many developers who are working on different parts of project at the same time. To keep everything organized and also to avoid the confusion, they use Git and GitHub in their company. Git, they are going to use it like a tracker for your code. It will help you to keep the record of all the changes that you are making in the code. So if something goes wrong, you can go back to the previous version, and also it helps you to see who changed what and also when. And then coming to the GitHub, it is a website where you can store your code online and share it with your team. It makes it easier for everyone to work together on the same project. And to make everything to make everything easier to everyone in the team, they use Git and also GitHub in the same way. And the IT department will create a guide. The guide will walk them through how they can install the Git on their computer so that all of them can install it on their system. So this way everyone can easily share that code and also collaborate with each other. This is what the real world scenario is, how we can use the Git and GitHub as a developer or as a IT development team. Now, let me tell you the contents that we are going to discuss. First, let's go to the introduction. Then we'll see overview and the key concepts of the lab that we are going to perform. These are just a small paragraphs which you can go through. And then we'll go through the documentation links. So there are few links which are given here, which are official documentation links. And you can go through them if you want to have a deep knowledge on these services. And next, we have a prerequisites which we need to perform before performing this lab, and then we'll see the cost to perform this lab, because knowing the cost is also very crucial when we are using the cloud services. And we'll try to install a Git. We'll create a GitHub account. Once it is done, these are the steps that we are going to follow to securely access the SSH authentication. We'll be creating a repository, sending local files to the remote repository, and updating the local files from the remote repository. Once all these are done, we'll see how we can share our learnings on LinkedIn and also on the community. I'll let you know, or we'll discuss why it is important in this particular section. Once it is done, we'll see how we can clean up the resources and then end the lab with summary. So this is the agenda and the contents for today's lab. Let me explain the introduction here. All right, let's break this down into very casual way. You can see a lot of things that are given here, but let's imagine that you're working with a big project with your team, and you all need to make changes in the code. And Git is a tool that can help you to keep track of every single changes you made in the code. And it was created by Linus Torvalds in 2005, and it's been a game changer for developers ever since. Now, here is the cool thing about Git. Git is distributed. This means that instead of all developers working on the single shared copy of project, each developer gets a full copy of the entire project history on their own computer. It's just like having a backup of everything, and you can work on your own version of the code without worrying about affecting the others' code or the code that other peoples are working. Right. When you make a change, Git records it as a snapshot, if you can see here. So Git records it as a snapshot of a project at a specific moment. So these snapshots, we call them as commits, and they let you go back and check exactly what was changed, when was it changed, and by whom. So if something goes wrong, you can always roll back to the previous version of the code. And Git also makes it easy to branch off the work or new features or bug fixes without messing with the main code. You can work on something like branches, and once you are done, you can merge those changes back into the main code. Now, here is where it gets really helpful for collaboration, even though each developer has their own copy of the project. Git lets you to push their changes and also pull updates from the other people. This way, everyone is working with the latest version. You can all stay in sync, and because of that distributed setup the Git is offering, if something happens to the central server, everyone still has the project history on their local machines. In short, I can say Git will help you and also your team to work together on code smoothly, keeping everything backed up and make sure you can track all the changes over time. So it's pretty much the backbone of modern software development because it makes things very flexible, fast, and also reliable. And if you can see, or if you can take a look at the diagram that is given here, this diagram is a very typical workflow of the changes in a Git between your local system and also remote repository, that is GitHub, or you can say GitLab, anything. You can use any tool. Now, here you have a working directory, which is a local. This is where you make changes to your files. When you add a new file or modify the existing ones, you can use git add command to stage them to the next commit. And here, this is a staging area. Once files are staged, they are prepared for committing. So you can use the git commit to commit the changes from the stage area to the repository, or you can finalize in the local repository. This is a repository which is present in the local. So after committing the changes from the staging area, these changes are now part of your project history locally, but are not yet visible to the others because it is not yet pushed to the remote repository. And to share these changes with others, you need to use git push command to upload to your local repository changes to a remote repository. If you want to get updates which are made by others, you can use the git pull to pull that to your local repository and work with that code. Now, if you can see, we have we will be creating a secure authentication with the SSH key authentication. That will be the first step. And we are also going to use the GitHub, and there is a objective of the guide that is given, and why we are using the GitHub, some reasons are given. And also we are going to, like, when you connect to the GitHub SSH keys, what they do is they act like a digital ID, and that will let you to log in by type without typing your password each time. So they are very secure and also quick. So that is why we are using the SSH key authentication. And now, as I've already mentioned, please make sure to go through the overview and the key points in this section. These are just small paragraphs. And in the documentation links, we have provided all the official documentations of what is Git, GitHub, and everything. So please make sure to go through them. And now there is a Linux commands and also Vim commands, which you can learn if you are very beginner to the Linux. So this is a course link, Linux for beginners. So please make sure to go through that, and you can try to learn about the commands for Linux for beginners. And once this is done, as a prerequisite, you need to have a Windows 10 or a newer version. It might be Windows 11 operating system. Then make sure that your internet is stable, and also you need to have a web browser where you have access to the GitHub website, and you need to log in as an administrator because we might require some permissions. And also you can use the text editor as well, like Notepad or anything. So we will be using this. These are the prerequisites which are required before performing this lab. So please make sure you have all of them. And if you're a Mac user, you just need to create a Windows virtual machine in the AWS, or if you're using a Azure cloud, just try to create a Windows virtual machine and then you can install the Git on that. Now let's see what is the cost to perform this lab. As we are already using all the open source, so this lab is completely free to perform. You don't need to worry about any charges. And now let's see how we can install a Git. Git, we have already discussed what is Git. It's a version control in the software development. And also we have discussed a lot more about Git. Now let's see how we can install Git on the Mac, and also like as we are using a Windows operating system, we'll see how we can download the Git for Windows. The first step is you need to click on this link. If you are using a Linux or Mac, as we are using it for Windows, we'll download Git from this link. So you just have to click on this and click here to download. And once you click on the download, you need to click on next and provide the path where the folder needs to be saved. And also all these are by default. So you can just click on next. Um, and next, and we are using the Vim here as a text editor, and we'll click on next and let Git decide how it wants to adjust the name of the initial branch. So we are leaving it as main, or it might be master. Currently it is master. If you want to provide a different name for the initial batch, you can overwrite it and click on next. And we are using Git from the command line and also from the third party software. So we'll select this option. We'll use the OpenSSH, that is bundled OpenSSH, and we'll also be using the OpenSSH libraries. We'll check out the Windows style, and also we'll use the default terminal of MSYS2 and then click on next. We'll be using the fast forward or merge and Git credential manager. So all these are the configurations that we need to do to install the Git on our Windows operating system. So till here, let's try to complete. So I'll just click on the download Git link and click here to download. Click on enter. And if you can see, the executable file is already downloaded on my local computer. Let me open the downloads and you can see this. Now, right click on this and run as an administrator. And it is asking me, do you want to allow to make this app changes? I said yes, and here we'll click on install. And to me, some of the configurations didn't show because the version is different. If you can see, the Git is 2.28.0, but the Git version is 2.50.0. I think that's the reason I couldn't find any of these configurations. I just clicked on install. And now I'll untick this. So we are at the last step and click on finish. And the next step is what we need to do is we need to search for git bash and open the git bash. So till here, we would confirm that we have successfully installed the Git on our local machine. Let me type git and I need to see a git bash application and I'll click on open. And now this is the git bash that we have opened after installation of the Git. Now let's see how we can create a GitHub account. GitHub, we have already discussed that it's a platform where we can host our code projects and we can also collaborate with our team to work on the projects, right? It uses the Git for the version control and also it enables the teams where they can work together and track changes. They can review the code and manage all the projects as well. So to create a GitHub account, you need to visit the github.com site and you'll be able to create your own account. As I've already created it and logged in, that's why you can see my account here. But let me just open this in an incognito window. github.com. And here, what you can do is if you already have an account, you can just try to sign in. If you do not have an account, if you want to create one for yourself, then click on sign up. You need to provide your email ID, provide your password, and set the username, select the country, and click on continue. So that is what you need to do if you want to create your own GitHub account, and you will also get a email confirmation. You also need to do that once you register as a user. You can provide your email, provide the password, and then click on continue. And also you need to make sure to provide the username, and that's it. So this is how you can create your GitHub account. Now let's see, as I've already created my GitHub account, how we can create a secure access with the SSH key authentication, right? Um, Here, this authentication method, we commonly use it for accessing the repositories in the GitHub so that we make sure that the remote servers that we are accessing are also secure without having to provide your password every single time, right? That is why we are using the SSH keys here. Now, let's generate a SSH key by using the command ssh keygen -t and RSA. In this command which we are using, it is used to generate a new secure shell key um, paired for authentication process, and the SSH key gen, this is a command which is used to generate and manage and also convert the SSH key. And we have -t RSA. This -t option, it specifies that the type of key to create, and in this case we are creating a RSA, which stands for encryption algorithm, RSA encryption algorithm, which is one of the most common algorithm used for the SSH keys. This is where we are generating the key, and we need to press enter 3 times after we run this command, right? Let me copy this, go to the git bash, and I'll right click and paste it. Oh, sorry, this didn't go well. Let me right click and paste it again and click on enter. It is generating a public or private RSA. Here we don't need to provide anything. We just click one more time and we'll provide Y and then click on enter. Again enter, and the key is generated. Now let's change the directory to /ssh by using the command that is given here. And if you can see, the directory is changed, and let's list the objects that are present inside by using the ls, and you'll be able to see id and the name is replaced, or you can also see id rsa public key which is given here. Now let's open this file using the vi editor. And here we have our key that is shown. Now what we need to do is we need to copy this key which is present in the file, and we'll just close the VI editor using by pressing escape, and also we'll write :WQ to save and exit. Let me just copy this key to a notepad. I'll right click and copy this one. I'll open a notepad. I'll just paste it in my notepad. Now press escape :WQ, an exclamatory mark, and now we have closed the file. I've also copied it. After this step, we need to log into the GitHub account. We need to navigate to the settings and then click on the SSH and GPG keys and select a new SSH key. Once we click on that, we need to provide the title. We will be providing SSH key Atul, or you can also provide your name here, and we will be pasting the key that we have copied from the key that is generated in our Git. So we'll be copying that and pasting it here and add a SSH key. Once the key is added, we'll try to create a repository, and the repository in the GitHub, it is a space where we can have our project code stored or files and other resources. It allows us to collaborate, and also we can do the version control and issue tracking. So developers use it to manage and share their work with others. So we'll just go to our GitHub and click on create new repository and provide the name for the repository as sample code, and we'll make it public and create the repository. Once the repository is created, till here we have successfully created our GitHub repository. Now let's go back to the GitHub and see how we can paste the SSH key. We just have to uh, navigate to the settings and then click on the SSH and GPG keys. So I'll click on my profile, go to settings, and here you will be able to find the SSH and GPG keys. Click on it and new SSH key. Provide the title name as SSH key. I'll type my name and I just need to paste what I've copied in the notepad. So we have pasted the key here and click on add SSH key. I just need to confirm the password. So I'll provide the password here. And if you can see, the SSH key is added to my GitHub account. Now we'll go back to the GitHub. You can just click on the icon and create a new repository by clicking on new, and we'll provide the repository name as sample code, and it is public. We'll just click on create repository, and here you go. We have created our sample code repository. Now, as this is done, we need to send the local files to the remote repository. So how do we do that? First, we need to check whether Git is installed on our system by using the Git version. We'll be able to check if the Git is installed or not. So we'll just type git ---- version in our Git bash to just confirm if the Git is installed, and you will be able to see the version. That means the Git is successfully installed. Now, as Git is installed, we will be proceeding with the further steps. If you see Git is not installed on your system, make sure to install it by following the section 4, or you can go back to the video and try to install the Git on your local machine. Now, let's change the directory to home directory, and we will be cloning the Git repository. Will be using the same command here to clone the sample code Git repository to our local computer. Now what we'll do is we'll change the directory to the home directory, and we are in the home directory, as you can see. Let me see if I can increase the size of these. It'll be visible. Now we'll do git clone, and we'll copy this repository so that we can clone that into our local machine. And it is cloning the sample code repository to our local computer. And if I do ls, and you can see I have my sample code repository that is cloned to my local computer. Now let me change the directory to sample code and click on enter, and you can see I have changed the directory to the sample code, and we are in the main branch. And here we are using the touch command to create a files. So we'll try to create 3 files inside this repository that we have cloned from our GitHub, and we'll also edit these files, and we'll write or add the content to these files. That is what we are going to create. Let me go back and use touch command and create file 1, file 2, file 3. So these are the three files I am creating using the touch command, and click on enter, and let me do ls, and you can see file 1, file 2 and file 3. Now using the VI editor, we will be editing the file 1 and 2 and 3. First we'll try to edit file 1, and you need to click on I to get into insert mode and type welcome to file 1. So this is what we are typing. Click on escape, colon WQ and exclamatory mark. And now to view the code that we have written inside the file 1, you can just type cat command and file 1. And you can see the content that we have added inside the file 1. Now let's do the same thing to both the other files that we have, which is file 2 and also file 3. So we'll use VI editor, file 2, click on enter, and we'll press I to get into insert mode. Welcome to file 2, click on escape, colon WQ exclamatory mark and enter. Now we have also added content to the file 2. I'm just viewing the content that we have added. Now let's edit the file 3. And here get into insert mode. And we have typed welcome to file 3. Click on escape, colon WQ and exclamatory mark. View the contents that we have added. So we have welcome to file 3. So that is what we have done till here. We have created 3 files in our sample code repository, and we have also added the content into all these 3 files. Now what we need to do is we need to set up the identity. So we need to configure the name and also email address, which are used to identify the commits whenever we are committing the changes to our GitHub, right? First, we'll try to provide the email ID. I'll try to provide my email ID here under the username, or I need to provide my username. So my username, I'm just copying it. It's Deepti-K21. So this is my username. I need to copy this, git config, paste it. Username is Deepti-K21 and click on enter. So username is already provided. Now let me provide my email. I'll provide space deeptt@k21. This is my email ID. Now, as I've provided the username and also the email ID, we will move to the next step. That is, we are going to move the files to the staging area as we have seen earlier in the diagram. Let me just show that to you again in the introduction. Here we are working in the sample code directory. Now we will move that to the staging area using the command git add. That is what we are going to do. Once after we move the files to the staging area, we will commit the files to the local repository, and once it is done, we'll push the changes to the GitHub. Here staging in Git is just like how we are preparing a snapshots of changes you want to save. It's a step before you commit, and also it will allow you to control what goes into each snapshot, right? Now first, let's do git add space dot. So we are adding all the files to the staging area. That is what this command means. So let me just go back and use the command git add space dot, and this will add all the files to the staging area, and then we need to push an existing repository from a command line. So we'll be using the git remote add origin, and then we'll be copying the code, or let's say we'll be copying this HTTPS link for our sample code repository and pasting it here because we want to add these files to this repository, right? Now let me copy this and paste it here. And again, I'll just copy the repository link and paste it in the git bash. Click on enter. To me, it is showing that the remote origin already exists. I've already added the credentials. If you get anything like this, authorize to the Git ecosystem. Now, what we need to do is we need to create a branch main. So we'll copy this code and paste it. Click on enter. Now I'll push the changes to my repository using git push. The reason why we were getting this issue called error fail to push some references to this because it might be due to the branch does not exist or the branch does not match to which we are pushing. That's the reason what I did was I just went back to my GitHub repository which I had created, and here I initiated my Git again using the git init command. If you can see here, I've reinitiated my Git, and then uh, I committed the changes to the Git repository using first commit comment. So I have just committed all these three files, file 1, file 2, and file 3. Then we have changed to the Git branch main, and then we use the git remote add origin using and also we use the link that is the link to the sample code repository. So we have used this command, and there was a remote origin which already existed, and then I am trying to push the changes to the origin main branch, and I am able to see that I need to authenticate to my GitHub. So I'll just try to sign in with the browser. And yeah, authentication is successful. And now let me refresh my repository to see if all the three files are present here or not. Yes, these are present. Now let's see how we can update the local files from the remote repository. Here we need to list the branches within the Git repository, then we'll pull the origin and also remote repository files, and we'll be using the git pull command, which is used to update your local work with the latest changes from a remote source such as repository or a server, and it will help us to keep our local copy up to date with the changes that are made. So we'll just check which branch we are going to use using git branch, which will list all the branches that are there. So we have the main branch here, and we'll pull um, the changes from the main branch, and it should show us everything is up to date because we haven't updated anything, right? And now let's write git pull again. And now we will try to delete the file 2 using the rm-r or nothing but remove the file 3. So let's list. We have file 1, 2, and 3. I'll just type a command rm-r file 3. We are trying to remove the file 3. Now let's do ls, and you'll be able to see only 2 files which are present. Now let's type git status And if you can see, we are able to see the changes that are made. So the third file is deleted. That's what it's showing to us. Now we'll try to add all the changes to the staging area, and we'll check the Git status, and it is in staging area. That's why um, we are able to see it as a green. The branch is up to date, and if you want to unstage this, you need to use git restore, and this is already staged now. Now let's commit the changes using the git commit -m, and we are writing a note as deleted file 3. Let me delete this, yeah, and click on enter, and one commit is done. And now let's push these changes to our GitHub repository. And yes, it's done. Now let me go back and refresh this. I am able to see only two files that are present. Git file 3 is already deleted. So this is how you can make changes in the GitHub and also through the Git bash. So that's all we have learned so far. Now, as part of a cleanup, we don't have anything to clean up. We can just close this git bash, and also you can just close this. You don't have to delete anything because you have performed it. If you want to delete the sample code repository, you can just go to the settings, and you'll be under, if you drag or if you go to the bottom, you'll be able to see the option delete this repository. And if you click I want to delete this repository, you can just delete it by typing the name of the repository, which is, you can either copy it and paste it and delete it. So that's how you delete it. You delete your repository. Now, as part of troubleshooting section, and these are the commonly occurred errors. If you face any of these, you can follow the steps that are given in the fix and try to um, resolve them. Now, in this activity guide, we have covered on how we install the Git on Windows operating system, and also we signed up for the GitHub account. We created a secure SSH keys and added those to the GitHub, where we can enable a secure communication between local and remote systems. We also tried to create a new repository on the GitHub to host the project files. We uploaded the local files. If you can see here, we have uploaded the local files as well to the GitHub repository, and we made few changes and then committed the changes to our repository. So that is what we have learned throughout this lab. Thank you all for listening, and happy learning.